So, hello, hope you're all having a good day. Today, we'll be discussing example questions from logical order of words. Okay, we have a couple of example questions. After we were done with even in the theory portion of logical order of words, what we did were mainly questions, right? Because there is actually no theory in this chapter. So, we have done questions in the theory class, but now we'll do just more and more questions. Okay, so let's just get on to the first question. Arrange the following words in logical order. Train, board, buy, ticket. So when you take a look at the four words, you get to know, this is about the process of buying a ticket and boarding a train, right? So what's the order for this? Okay, but you can also look at the options. So let's see, buy, board, ticket, train. That does not, seem right, because if you buy ticket has to come after buy, right? Because what are you buying? You're buying a ticket. So this has to sort of be together. So it's not this. Train, ticket, buy, board. This could be an option. So you choose the train that you want to go by through. You choose the train that you want to travel. You look at the ticket, you buy it, and then you board the train. This could be an option, but let's also look at the other options. Board, train, ticket, buy. So here what we mean is that we board the train and then you buy the ticket. That's not how it's supposed to be, right? You're supposed to buy the ticket beforehand. So no. Ticket, train, board, buy. So again, no, because like I said, buy and ticket has to be together. So ticket, train, board, buy does not make sense. So no. So this is the answer. So the reason why we are looking at options first is that for such questions where you have to arrange words in logical order, people will have different interpretations, right? So if like I would have thought it would be in the order ticket, buy, train, board, because you buy the ticket. So basically like you buy the ticket, you see the ticket, you buy it, and then you see the train and you board it. That's what I would have thought, but that's not even there in the options, right? So like people can interpret it in different ways. My interpretation here is not wrong. That is also a logical order. So because of that, it is always better to first look at the options and then decide whatever you feel is right. Okay, so here it's B. And moving on to the second question. Arrange the following words in logical order. Plant, water, grow, seed. So here what are we talking about? We're talking about the process of, a plant growing, right? And watering it and all of that. Okay, so seed, plant, water, grow. This does not seem right? Because, for a seed to become a plant, you need to water it. So, right, so water cannot come third. So no. Water, seed, plant, grow. This could be. So like, you water the seed and then it becomes a plant and then it continues growing. So this could be an option. Plant, water, seed, grow. This definitely cannot be, because seed cannot come after plant, right? So with such questions where you have like some process, you need to go in the sequence of that process, right? So here we're talking about the process of a seed becoming a plant. You need to follow the sequence. So plant, water, seed, grow. No. Grow, plant, water, seed. Definitely not. Seed is coming at the end. That cannot be the case, right? So here this is the answer. Water, seed, plant, grow. Okay. So again, like I said, people can also have an interpretation like, say, let's say, they can think, so here plant actually means this thing, the one with, this is, I'm very bad at drawing, but like a leaf and a flower, this is what they mean by plant, right? But you can also think, plant, did you know this, that the word plant also has a different meaning? There is a verb plant. The verb, so you say plant a seed. There is actually usage where we say plant a seed, which means it refers to the process of, getting a seed under the soil and planting it. So it's basically when you dig the soil and then you put the seed inside and then you cover it up. It's also called planting a seed. So some people might think, okay, this order is going to be plant, seed, as in I plant a seed and then I water it and then it grows. Okay, here plant does not refer to this plant. It refers to the process of planting a seed. Okay, so some people might also think this, I plant a seed and then I give it water and then it grows, right? But then, so that's where you cross check with the options, right? So it's always better to start with the options rather than what you think at that point of time. Okay, moving on. So that was example 2. Moving on. Arrange the following words in logical order. Cook, recipe, ingredients, meat. Again, you can have different interpretations. So we'll just do one thing. We'll just look at the options that we have. Ingredients, recipe, cook, meal. So you take the ingredients, you look at the recipe, you cook it, and the meal is ready. This could be, but then we will see. When we go to the next option, we'll see something. Recipe, ingredients, cook, meal. This can also be right? You look at the recipe, you buy the ingredients required, cook, meal. So this can also be an option. Meal, cook, ingredients, recipe, definitely not, right? So, I mean, after the meal is ready, you cook and then ingredients, recipe, no. Cook, recipe, meal, ingredients, again, not. No. Why? Because ingredients has to come at the beginning. What do we mean by ingredients? Basically, the things that we need in order to make a meal. So, that has to come at the beginning. So, it is one of these. Between these, what makes most sense to you? My interpretation is that recipe, ingredients, cook, meal is the right one, because you look at the recipe first and then you decide what ingredients are needed, right? So if it's a new dish or a dish that you're not sure what all you need, how do you decide what ingredients to buy? You look at the recipe, you read it, and then you get an idea. Okay, I need this, this, and this. So then you take the ingredients and then you cook it, and then the meal is ready. But for some people, like, people who are really good at cooking, my mother, most of our mothers, they might already know. So when you give them a dish in mind, even if it is a dish that they have never heard of, they might already know what ingredients are needed, right? But here we're talking about the average person. So the average person will have to, look at the recipe and then decide the ingredients, right? So then it would be B would be the answer. Moving on. Wash, lather, rinse, dry. So what is the process? You wash a thing first and then it lathers. Lather, do you know what it means to lather? It's basically, so when you wash something with soap, you see all this foam and bubbles and all of that, right? That's the process of lathering. And then rinse and then dry, right? So it's actually this, what is given in itself is the order. That's option D. Okay, so do you get it? So see, basically when you wash clothes, first you wash it with soap or something, and then it lathers. You get the foam, the soap, and the bubble and all of that. And then, right, so then you will have cleaned it with soap. But after you clean it with soap, you can't just keep it like that, right? You can't just dry it like that, because there will be some remains of soap. So then you will have to rinse off that soap. What we mean by rinse is wash itself. It's just a different word. So here, what rinse means is, you wash it off. You wash the soap off. After that, it's clean, and then you just dry it, right? So that is the option 4D is the answer. Morning, night, evening, afternoon. So what is the logical order? Morning, afternoon, evening, night, right? This. So morning is, we know what we mean by morning is the time it's usually used to refer to the time from sunrise up till 12 p.m. Right? 12 p.m. is called noon. In case you did not know, the time after 12 p.m. is called afternoon, and evening, I mean, different people define evening in different ways, but it's generally, the time from, let's say, 4 p.m. to, right, it's evening generally starts at around 4 p.m. And then night, again, night is different for different people. So some people might say, oh, my night starts at 7 p.m. and some might say, oh, my night only starts at 12, I don't know, 11 p.m. But yeah, night is generally that, you can say 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m.ish, that's called night. So this is the order. So if there was noon, what would the order be? The order would be morning, noon, afternoon, evening, night, right? So see, when we say afternoon, what we mean is afternoon, right? So it comes afternoon. That's what we mean when we say the word in itself. Moving on. Arrange the following words in logical order. Read, understand, write, learn. Okay. Write, learn, read, understand. Learn, read, understand, write. Read, understand, write, learn. Understand, write, learn, read. Lot of options. So let's see. What is the process? it's usually supposed to be you read something and then you understand it, then you okay, some people might write it down and then learn it, right? So this seems whatever is given here seems like the right option to me. So there is that option, but we'll just go through the other options also. Write, learn, read, understand. This is definitely not the case, because you cannot learn something without having understood it. I mean, a lot of people do that, they just mug it up, but the ideal process of learning something requires you to understand what you're learning first, right? So not this. Learn, read, understand, right? Again, no. Learn cannot come before understand. You need to understand what you're learning in order to learn it properly. Understand, write, learn, read. This could be, but the problem here is you're saying you understand it. In order to understand, you need to read it, right? So no. So the C is the answer. So basically you open a book, you read it, and then you understand what it is, and then you just write it down, you know, in order to like help with your understanding, and then you learn it. So this is C is the right answer. Okay. Moving on. Arrange the following words in logical order. Plan, execute, analyze, evaluate. Okay. So again, execute, analyze, evaluate, plan, analyze, execute, evaluate, analyze, execute, plan, execute, evaluate. So first you plan something, you okay, so let's see, execute. What do you mean by execute? Execute is basically the process where you implement the plan. Basically you put it in action. That's what we mean by execute. In case the word is new, execute refers to putting something in action. So I'll just write it here, either implementing, but in case this word is also new to you, put something in action. Okay, put something in action. So for example, if I plan to study today, okay, I plan to study at 6 p.m. today, right? So that's my plan. But then at 6 p.m. I actually study. That means I've executed my plan. Okay, it's when you put something in action. So whatever plan I had in my head, when you put it into action, that's when we say that I've executed it. Okay, right. So so execute cannot come at the end. Execute cannot come before planning, right? You plan something and then you execute it. So no. Plan, analyze, execute, evaluate. This makes sense, right? So you make a plan and then you analyze the plan. You think, okay, this is how it goes. But the problem is usually analyze comes before planning. Why? Because in order to make a plan, you will have to analyze things, right? So it's not that easy to make a plan. So if you want to make a plan, like for example, you have your final exams, okay, and you need to study and you need to make a plan of how many chapters. So in order for that, you need to first analyze your syllabus, right? You can't just be like, okay, my plan is I will study for 10 hours every day. But that is a very rough plan, but you need to first know that much time. Let's say you're saying this one day before the exam, that you'll study for 10 hours, but 10 hours is not enough. So then that plan is not enough, right? So whenever you make any sort of plan, you need to first analyze, what do you have to do, right? So you might also start studying, like, you know, say 2 months before the exam. So then 10 hours might not be needed. I mean, anything as less as 5 hours might also work, right? So in order to know how to make your plan, you need to first analyze it. So analyze, plan, and then you execute your plan, which is option D here. And then you execute your plan and then you evaluate. What do we mean by the process of evaluation? What we mean by evaluate is usually you look at something and then you try to find out. So you, in this context, what evaluation means is that after you execute your plan, you look back and you think about, okay, how did the execution go? Where did I go wrong? Like for example, say you have an exam. You make a plan for 1 month, you start studying, so the execution has begun, but then you later on you realize, you know, you studied well, but you did not do previous year questions, things like that, right? So that is called evaluation. And here it's just I mean, it's just a question, but even in real life, one thing I want to stress on is this process of evaluating something is very important. And this is actually something that people miss out on a lot of times. So people make plans, they execute it. So it could be anything. It could be something that you're preparing for an exam or an interview or whatever. People make a lot of plans, they execute it, but then they do not evaluate it. It's very important that you evaluate, because mostly when you make a plan at the beginning, right? So say you have an exam, you look at the syllabus and you make a plan. You're like, okay, I'll study these many chapters in these many days. Okay, so the plan is something you make at the beginning, but you need to constantly revisit your plan and see if there is something that has to be added, because you might start studying and you will realize, okay, the syllabus is actually very different from the kind of questions that are asked. The kind of questions that are asked requires me to do a lot of practice. The syllabus is not enough, or like the syllabus is too much. I don't have to study this much. You come to a lot of, you get to know a lot of things when you actually start studying. So after execution, this evaluation is very important. So I mean, this is just for the purpose of answering this question, but even in real life, this is something that a lot of people miss out on, but also something that is very important. Okay, now that being said, so option D is the answer. Let's just also look at option C. Evaluate, analyze, execute, plan. No, plan is not something you do at the end, right? Plan is something you do before executing. So this is not the answer either. Okay, arrange the following words in logical order: study, revise, practice, exam. Okay, so you study for the exam first. Oh, we'll go option by option. Exam, study, practice, revise. No, I mean, this might be the order for some people, but this should not be the order, right? You should not study after the exam. The studying, all of this process has to take place before the exam. So not this. Practice, study, exam, revise. Okay, you practice what you have, you study, but here again the problem is revise comes after exam. That is not the case, right? You should ideally be revising before your exam. So you can just look at the option where exam is at the end, and you can guess that this would be the right option, right? So study, revise, practice, exam. This makes sense, right? You study and then you revise it, and then you practice questions or things of that sort, and then you give the exam. Revise, exam, practice, study, no. So this is the answer. So this is actually for your ideal studying process. This is how it's supposed to be. You should study, you should revise, you should practice, and then give the exam. But this is not how it is for a lot of people. I know that. So this is something that you should aim to, reach. Keep this as your goal. Okay, that you study, you have enough time to study, revise, practice, do all of this before your exam. Okay, this sort of turned into a lecture session, I mean like an advice session. We'll move on to the next question. Arrange the following words in logical order: chop, cook, eat, serve. Okay, chop, cook, eat, serve. So here what can you guess? Eat has to come at the end, right? So this is also one thing. You don't have to go option by option. Just try to find out a word that you think has to come at the end. So just find out the word. So find out the word meant for the end or start. Okay, you can just find out the word that is meant for the end or start, and then just look at those options. So this is instead of going through all options. Okay, this is instead of going through all options. This is something you can do. My handwriting is bad, I know. I hope it's not illegible. I hope you can understand what I've written. Okay, anyway, so you know that eat has to come at the end, but here you realize that eat is not at the end of any of the options. So that's interesting. Now let's see. So okay, then we'll just look at the options. Eat, serve, cook, chop. No, this cannot be, right? You don't cook and chop after eating. Cook and chop has to be before eating. So then now, since the last word does not work, you can look at what the first word should be. The first word has to be chop, right? Because you chop the vegetables or whatever is required. Do you know what it means to chop? By chop we mean cutting vegetables and things of that sort. And then you cook it. So chop has to come first. This is the only option where chop is first. Let's look at this option. Chop, cook, eat, serve. This makes sense, doesn't it? Right, so you chop it, you cook it, But eating and serving, I would have thought that serve has to come before eating, because you serve the food to people and then you eat it, right? But maybe this is talking about that selfish person who just eats first and then serves it to others. It could be about that person. So then this makes sense. But yeah, otherwise it eat ideally has to come after serve. Okay, cook, serve, eat, chop, no. Serve, eat, cook, chop, no. Like I said, chop has to come at the beginning. Okay, arrange the following words in logical order. Clean, sweep, dust, mop. Okay, so what is the process? You mop something first, then you dust it, then you sweep it clean. No. So the answer to this depends on how well all of you help out in the cleaning activities at your home. If you do not help out now, it might be useful for your exams. Okay, so help out in your home is the moral of this question. Okay, so mopping is usually done after sweeping, right? You usually sweep and you get the dust away, and that's when you mop, because when you mop you use water, so it's important for the place to be like not have dust particles, hair and all of that, in order for you to be able to mop. So it's not this. Clean, dust, mop, sweep. This could be like you clean, but mopping is done after sweeping usually. We'll see. Sweep, clean, dust, mop. So you sweep it and then you clean it, and then you get rid of the dust and then you mop. This sort of makes sense. We'll see. Dust, mop, sweep, clean. As I said, mop cannot come at the beginning, right? So it's one of these. Let's see which one. Clean, dust. You clean the dust and then you mop it and then you sweep it. No, sweeping comes before mopping, so it is C. Okay, you sweep it and then you clean it and then you get rid of the dust and then you mop. Okay, moving on. Arrange the following words in logical order. Write, edit, revise, publish. Okay, so what is the process? You write something first, then you we'll go option by option. You edit, publish. No, see here you can guess what will be the last word. Publish has to be the last word, right? It could also be revise, but mostly publish. But yeah, publish or revise we can see. But this is definitely wrong, because the write cannot come after publish, right? You write before you publish, obviously. This could be an option. C cannot be, publish cannot come at the beginning. D cannot be, because the write has to come before a publish. Then this is the only option. So you write whatever you need to, then you revise it, then you edit it. Usually in the process of writing books, you have a different editor. So that could also mean, you get it edited by another person and then you publish it. Okay, that's why you have both revise and edit here, because the revising process might be done by yourself, but then you will get it edited by another person. Okay. Now, arrange the following words in logical order. Study, prepare, sleep, exam. We have a lot of, study related motivational questions. Right. So here, one thing you can guess is that exam should be the word at the end, right? So, seems like it is option B. Let's see. Sleep, prepare, study, exam. No, I mean, okay, but this doesn't, so what we're saying is that you sleep first and then you prepare. Ideally, that should not be the case. You should start studying for an exam earlier, but we'll see. Let's look at option A, exam, study. Okay, so here what I think, okay, exam, study, prepare, sleep. I think what they mean here is that you know that there is an exam happening, so then you study for it. But then prepare has to come before study, right? You should prepare and then study. So this is not the case. Next, study, prepare, exam, sleep. No. Okay, study, maybe. Let's see. D, prepare, exam, sleep, study. No. So study coming after sleep does not seem to make a lot of sense. So this one also no. Between B and C, let's see. Sleep, prepare, study, exam. So here actually both of these do not seem to make a lot of sense, but then that's how you solve logical order of words questions, right? You look at whatever option makes more sense and then you choose it. So here, sleep, prepare, study, exam. You sleep first and then you prepare for your exam. You study, exam, and then you give the exam. Okay, what's the next option? Study, prepare, exam, sleep. This seems to make more sense, because you study for your exam, you prepare what, no, actually B seems to make more sense, right? So, okay. So you study, because see, here it is study, prepare, exam, sleep. What are we saying basically? It's that you study first and then you prepare. No, right. Preparation is usually what you do before studying. What do you mean by prepare? Ki you decide ki, okay, all of these I have to do. This is what I have to do. I'll do this within this time, that, right? So prepare has to come before study, ideally. So then let's look at option B. You sleep first. It could be like, you get a good night's sleep or something like that, and then you prepare, and then you study, and then you give the exam. This is what makes most sense. C, as for C, study, prepare, exam, sleep, not really, right? Because sleep coming after exam doesn't really make a lot of sense, and also prepare coming after study. This is the major part. So because of that, it is B. So see, that's the thing about logical order of words question, which is also why I said when you do questions of this kind, look at options first itself, because whatever idea, that whatever order you have in your head, that might not even be in the option. So just look at the options first, so you get an idea of, okay, what all is there, and then you can solve it that way, right? So we have done about 12 questions. Now in the theory class also we did questions, right? So by now we'll have covered about, I don't know, I think about 20 questions we would have covered. We'll also be having an assignment with more questions for you to solve. After that, you will be well versed with this chapter. There is actually no preparation per se that you need to do for this. It's just you need to go through questions. When you do a lot of questions, you get to know a lot of things. And if your thinking process is different, you can fix it also. Like you might think, okay, this is not the order, this is the order. So when you do enough questions, it will be helpful, right? So that's it. We are done with logical order of words.